What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome to some Dungeon Defenders 2. With the holiday season rapidly approaching, there will no doubt be lots of new players checking out Dungeon Defenders 2 for the first time, and I wanted to just go through a few quick tips to get you started in the right direction. Now, first things first, always keep your hero deck full. How your experience works in Dungeon Defenders 2 as you're brand new playing through the campaign, experience is additive per hero in your deck. It is not split, which means if you have one hero in your deck and you're doing a map that rewards 1,000 experience, that one hero will get 1,000 experience. However, if you have 4 heroes in your deck and you do that same map, each one of the heroes will get that 1,000 experience. Now, having less heroes in the deck does not mean one hero gets more. It just means you get overall less XP out of the deck. So always keep your hero deck full, even if it's a hero that you're not using at the moment. Make sure someone is getting value out of being in your deck as you play through the campaign. Now, the new player questline in Dungeon Defenders 2 is extremely rewarding, and lots of people skip it, and it really is well worth doing. Not only do you get lots of Defender medals, which is the earnable currency in game, you are also going to get some of the best shards available in the entire game. So it's super important to always follow the quest line. Make sure you go through and do all of the quest line that you can and get all of those rewards, as it's just well worth completing. Now, on that same note, when you are doing those quests, remember when it says, say, do 10 expeditions, it doesn't mean 10 different expeditions. Pick an expedition that you like, that you feel like you were getting done in a timely manner, and that you had fun playing, and you can do that map 10 times to complete that quest. The same is the case when it comes to Onslaught mode. If you want to, you can do floor 1 10 times. You don't have to do floor 1 through 10. I do encourage people to always push forward. However, if you want to, you can just do the first floor 10 times and still complete the quest. The same is true for all of those quests going through, and including mastery mode. So when it comes to doing mastery mode, if there's one particular mastery challenge that you find really easy, you can do that 10 times and complete that new player quest. Now, with mastery mode particularly, it is in your best interest to go through and do 10 different maps, as that is going to unlock one of the most powerful shards in the game, and that is Mass Destruction. Mass Destruction is a meta shard that you're going to use throughout your experience in the game, and is just an absolute powerhouse. This is something that you can use right away as you're a newer player in the early Chaos tiers, and it's a shard that you'll continue to use as you climb all the way through to end game. Now, using the correct shards is the bulk of the battle. So shards are the most important thing in the game. If you're struggling, you want to find a few key tips early on. Now, first off, if you're using a defense that you're focusing on the damage of it, or it is a damage dealing defense, then you want a medallion. A medallion is, its main stat is going to be defense power, so it is going to give you the most value out of a defense that does damage. If your defense is a wall or a blockade, or it's taking a lot of damage, then you're going to want to use a totem. So even if you're just brand new, just starting, just in the campaign, always put totems on walls and put medallions on things that would deal damage. You will see things in the game like marks and orbs. These are old items in the game that are basically just medallions with a different skin. So you can completely ignore those exist, as there is no gameplay value out of having these, and it's just a collector thing. So if you see somebody else with a marker and orb, you don't have to have a marker and orb. A medallion is going to do the exact same thing for you. Now, after you get done with the campaign, you are going to be jumping into expeditions. And what expeditions brings to the table is special enemies per chaos tier. Each expedition tier will focus on one main enemy particularly. There will be a combination of these enemies as you climb the tiers, and these enemies are what you want to counter. Now, remember, there is a strategy element to Dungeon Defenders 2, so if you follow the strategy, your chances of success are going to be much greater. So, for example, in Chaos 1, we have Vanguards. It tells us right here on the sheet what they do. They're highly trained deflection experts and masters of frontal shield defensive tactics. So what this is basically saying is they are going to absorb projectiles shot at them from the front, which means if you're shooting at these enemies with your Huntress, or if you've got a cannonball tower blasting into these enemies, they are going to absorb those projectiles and you're going to struggle with the map. So in that situation, Chaos 1, you'd want to stay away from projectile type defenses. Use something that's more an area of effect and not something that shoots an actual projectile through the air. In Chaos 2, you've got cyborgs. Cyborgs are units that will disable traps, auras, and nodes. It basically tells you right here what not to use in Chaos 2. So if you have a bunch of flamers, for example, you are going to struggle as these flamers are going to get disabled by the cyborgs and have, you're going to have a rough time with your experience. Now, as I mentioned, these enemies do combine, but it does show them in every tier. For example, Chaos 5 you see there, Chaos 6 here, we're going to have those Vanguards from Chaos 1 difficulty. We're going to have the Geodes from Chaos 3, which we didn't highlight on, but it's another shielded enemy where you'd want to avoid projectiles. And as you climb the tiers, you're going to want to be able to counter each of these enemies. As a general rule, just starting off when you only have the original 4 heroes, of course there are some meta defenses. Chaos 1, the easiest way to beat the map is going to be to heavily use auras. Flame auras do very, very well. You could throw in some lightning strike auras. It all comes from the monk on one of the original heroes that you already have. So use flame auras and lightning strike auras. Put them all the way down a lane, all the way going up to a wall, and make Chaos 1 a much easier experience. Chaos 2, the general meta, would be to use tower-type defenses. The Earth Shatter Tower and the Poison Dart Tower combine to create an elemental combo in the game, Petrify, which can ease your experience as it will give you some crowd control in the game as enemies get petrified. In Chaos 3, we're back to Flame Auras. Flame Aura spam down lanes is going to ruin Chaos 3. Chaos 4, Flame Auras will work wonderfully once again. In Chaos 5, we see we've got the Cyborgs back, but we also have Geodes. So now we would want to focus on tower-type defenses that don't use projectiles. Tower defenses without projectiles. Things like the Tesla Tower from the Adept, if you have it. Things like the Earth Shatter Tower on the Apprentice are really going to shine in Chaos 5. Chaos 6, you can go back to spamming auras and get yourself some wins. Chaos 7 is the same aura spam without a doubt. And then Chaos 8, you're going to want to switch back to towers. So just some tips for getting through those starting Chaos tiers in Dungeon Defenders 2. Make sure you have a good time. It is a super grindy game. When you're just getting started on the game, definitely focus on getting your shards that you want. You can get these shards through that new player quest line, and you can always buy them at the shard shop with Defender medals. One of the most important shards in the game is going to be Destruction, and you see you can buy that with 1,000 Defender medals. Now, 1,000 Defender medals is going to be a tough tough purchase, particularly when you're starting out and you're wanting to save your medals for new heroes. However, there is one shard in particular that I personally feel like is well worth spending defender medals on, and that is defense rate. You will get one of these doing the new player quest line. However, this shard is without a doubt one of the most important shards in the entirety of the game as a brand new player. So getting yourself a defense rate and putting it on your most used defense can really ease your experience through the game. Now also remember, shards can be moved. So as you go from one tier to another, or as you have, a different defense you want to play around with, just move this stuff over. Say, for example, I didn't want to use my walls from my hunter here, the werewolf commander. I could easily just take this relic and move it over to another hero. Say I wanted to play around with orc blockades instead, just take that relic and take the shards that are in that one and move it over to the orc blockade. So move your stuff around, try out different things. Don't go into it thinking or wanting to only use one type of defense. Even if it's your favorite defense, as you go through the chaos tiers, you're going to run into issues where these defenses might get countered. So focus on shards and focus on counters to get yourself through the expeditions. So if you have any more questions or comments or just helpful tips in general for a brand new player starting the game, make sure to leave them down below in the comments. But that will do it for now. Thanks an absolute ton for watching, and I will see you next time. Take it easy.